You know, they say promises are like crying babies in a theater. You need to carry them out as soon as possible. And with that said, look what I found. Hi, George here, and welcome to Tales from Target Suite, where I'll share my perspective on guns and shooting, and we'll spend some time at the range, and every now and then we'll reconvene out in my shop back in Houston or here at the farm in Louisiana, where I'll build some fun projects, and we'll share an adventure or two that'll make even a grown man smile. And in this video, I am going to fulfill a promise I made in what I'll call episode 1 of using your shotgun for home defense. And yes, it does have something to do with this number 3 buckshot. You know, if you missed that video, there's going to be a link for you in the comment section below, and you can check it out after we finish here. But in that video, and even more so in this one, I want to pursue an answer to a question that affects all of us who might choose to use a shotgun for home defense. And that question is, how does our ammunition choice affect the risk that we pose to other members of the household if we have to discharge rounds inside the home? But as a refresher, in the original video, we saw that the double-aught buckshot and the slug that I shot through our house of walls penetrated all 4 of the wall segments that I had put together. And at the same time, I intended to shoot number 3 buckshot as well, so I could get all of them in the same panel. But if you remember, I cut open one of the number 3 buckshot as part of my demonstration on what all the pellet sizes look like. And that was the only one I could get my hands on at the time. And schedule pressures being what they were, I had to go ahead and release that video. But I did promise that once I could get my hands on another one, we'd set that fixture up again and I'd finish what I started. And so here's the promises being kept. And to send this round down range, I'm going to use my Winchester Model 12 that I got for Christmas, I think when I was 9 or 10 years old. So let's send this thing down range. All the way through. Okay, and so what have we shown here? We've shown that typical home defense ammunition, and I would say that's the for shotguns, that would be the double-aught buckshot and number 3 buckshot. I doubt that a lot of people use slugs for home defense, but certainly the number 3 buckshot and the double-aught buckshot will penetrate at least 4 walls if they're shot head on. And of course my house of walls presents the worst case scenario as far as over penetration goes, because all of the walls are parallel to the bullet, to the shell path, and there's also no insulation in there. There's no I'm not hitting any additional studs, and so it's a worst case scenario, I agree. But when we're considering safety, that's not a bad idea to look at what could be the worst case scenario. So we know they go through 4 walls. But that kind of begs a question. Let's just do a little HGTV segment here, and I'll add several more walls to our house of walls, and we'll do this test again. So let me put on my apron, so to speak, and I'll go build those walls, and then we'll reconvene here in a minute or so, and we'll do some more shooting. and pardon my backside. Well, you can see that I've added a little bit of structure here. And so I've got 3 new wall segments like this that are just like these wall segments. And then at the end, I've actually added just a kind of a kludge of what remaining sheetrock I had. And so I added a 2x4 onto the back of this wall segment, and then I had, well, you can see it, you can count them, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces of sheetrock, and I'm probably going to lay some other stuff up here just in case, because I'd really like to make sure that I don't have any complete pass-throughs. Oh, wow, what do you think is going to go through there? Maybe between now and the time I actually pull the trigger, you could leave a comment, tell me what you think. Is double-aught buckshot going to go through? Let's count the layers. Let's just count the layers of sheetrock. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 19 layers of sheetrock. That's almost 10 walls worth of sheetrock. So let me know in the comments what you think. Are we going to get through all of that with double-aught buckshot, or with number 3 buckshot from a 20 gauge, or are we going to have to rely on a slug to see if we can get through all of that? Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you in a minute. First shot's going to be 12 gauge slug. Then we're going to shoot the 20 gauge buckshot because it has the smallest pattern, and then we'll shoot the 12 gauge buckshot. So here we go. How many walls? I really don't know. Okay, now we'll do the 20 gauge, number 3 buckshot. Now the double-aught buckshot. We have data. Okay, before we go tear open that stack back there, let's take a look at what we've got. So first we have slug plus wad, number 3 buckshot. I'm sorry, double-aught buckshot, number 3 buckshot. Same thing here. Number 3, double-aught, and slug. All right, first wall, second wall, or third wall, number 3, double-aught slug. Fourth wall, number 3, double-aught slug. Fifth wall, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, fifth wall, number 3 buckshot, double-aught buckshot, slug. Sixth wall, number 3 buckshot, double-aught buckshot, and slug. Seventh wall. Oh, okay, no number 3 buckshot, but we do have double-aught buckshot, and we have the slug. So let's take this stack apart and see what we find. We've captured everything somewhere in there. All right, so the first thing I want to do is find the slug, and I see it. How about that? Here's the slug right here. Look at this. Look at this. So the slug, before I tear everything apart, the slug went through 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, went through 7 walls and 2 2x4s, and actually these are cedar 2x4s, so they're not really hard, and then another piece of sheetrock. So the slug, wow, okay, that thing's really got some penetration. 2 of the buckshot made it through 15 pieces of sheetrock. So it's been a long day, gosh, and what have we learned? Well, just a quick summary. That was a lot of information down there. The number 3 buckshot 20 gauge was stopped in the 6th wall. The double-aught buckshot was stopped in the 8th wall, and the slug was also stopped in the 8th wall. But unfortunately, whoever shot that round was a little bit off to the left, and so that slug actually went through 2 2x4s before it stuck in the 8th wall. And so had it not hit those 2x4s, I don't know how far it would have gone. Anyway, just use that information carefully if you're really concerned about penetration. If you don't want to use one of the bird shot, the number 5 or number 7.5 that we talked about in the previous video, then the number 3 buckshot would be your choice if you're concerned about over penetration. And if you just want a monster self-defense round or home defense round, the double-aught buckshot is, wow, it's really something. But it does penetrate deeper into your home in the event that you had to discharge rounds inside your house. Scary thought. But hey, thanks for watching. If you like what you saw, give me a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, then subscribe. And I'll see you in the next video. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to that guy, his enthusiasm, his energy, it was really something to behold. But the reality was, he was at the end of a long day and at the end of a long week, and he was getting ready to promise something he couldn't deliver. Now, I'm going to get around to that pet project of his real soon, but in the meantime, next week's video is going to be about aging eyes. And if you're having trouble right now seeing the sights of your pistol, you're going to want to watch that video. If you're not yet having trouble seeing the sights of your pistol, you're still going to want to watch that video because your turn's coming. But let me just say, hey, thanks for watching. It's really my privilege to bring content to you each week. If you have any thoughts or suggestions, please leave them in the comments below because I'm really new at this, and those things can be helpful. But in the meantime, I hope to see you in next week's video. Great eyesight is just on loan. Shooting glasses for aging eyes. I'll see you there.